Hey, listen guys, if you get a chance, check out my other site. It's called Mortgage Shots. You can find it at mortgageshots.com. We have a couple fantastic strategic partners that are going to be publishing with us, bringing you very interesting and insightful information for your business, realtor or lender. Mortgage Shots. Click this banner right over there. All right, so last week, the House Financial Services Committee passed a bill. It's H.R. 1486. And what it says it's going to do is bring the CFPB budget under appropriations by Congress. However, in doing so, part of this bill, guys, it approved $485.1 million that the Bureau says is necessary to continue operations. That's a lot of money. Now, if this bill will get through the House and the Senate and get signed by the President, who knows? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. And its effectiveness, once again, who knows? As we really haven't heard a whole bunch about this bill in the first place. Now, my question is, why does the CFPB need nearly $500 million to operate? Because here's a question I have, I think everybody wants to have answered. If this bill does in fact pass and get ratified, does that mean that everybody working right now at the CFPB is going to get a pay cut? Because the appropriations process will give Congress oversight into what the CFPB is spending. And if that's the case, then shouldn't the CFPB employees, civil servants you understand, have the same price scale as other employees from other agencies in the government? Because right now, my friends, they don't. CFPB workers, they get paid more, a lot more.
With your broke ass.
And if 1486 goes through, how would Congress deal with a $225 million remodel on the new CFPB headquarters, which is conveniently located just a couple of blocks away from the White House? I noticed this when I was back there last week. I mean, think about this, guys. The building appraised for just north of $100 million. Yet, they've got $200 million in upgrades on a $100 million property. Does this make sense to anybody? Probably not, unless you go over to the building, which I did, and take pictures, which I also did. Here's the remodel right now in action. Now, doesn't it kind of look like a building in Beirut? I mean, doesn't it? It's like the building in Die Hard 1 that gets blown apart with Bruce Willis in it, doesn't it? This isn't a remodel, my friends. This thing is all but a teardown, a do-over. And if you think about it, probably too late to stop the CFPB from physically digging roots on an agency built on shaky ground, right? This whole building thing strikes me as odd. I mean, you've got the intellectual fight over the future of the CFPB, with pros and opponents drawn down party lines. And then you have this building, this physical manifestation of that fight in an actual building digging massive and expensive roots, all before congressional appropriations can come in to stop them. If you believe Washington is a chess match, well, this is a really good move by the CFPB, one step ahead. Yet with all this said, it's a good first move now, isn't it? Provided it's not the last move. Any form of oversight of the CFPB is good at its core, provided Congress doesn't consider this a job well done, completed, and simply wash their hands of it. I don't know if you caught this, but Bernie Sanders came out with his housing agenda. Now, do you remember when Bernie was just that sweet old guy being poked fun of by Jon Stewart on The Daily Show?
Sanders is a loon. He wears socks on his hands and gloves on his feet. He butters his bread with Vaseline. He lives in a pineapple under the sea. If Salvador Dali and Dr. Seuss had a child and that child was raised by schizophrenic howler monkeys, it would be Bernie Sanders. Give me a taste of this crazy wacko cuckoo bird.
And now, I think he's probably viable, don't you? Hillary's probably going to get the Democratic nod, but Bernie's in the mix. If you think about it, it speaks volumes now, doesn't it?
He owns a VHS copy of Tootsie.
In any event, with respect to your chosen profession, Bernie wants to expand housing counseling. I mean, as far as that goes, whatever. I see housing counseling like this. No matter how hard you try, you're not going to get your cat to like taking baths. Does that make sense, guys? I mean, here's your payment. You're either going to make it or you're not. I can browbeat you all I want, but at the end of the day, it's you who either will or won't make said payment. Counseling, have fun. He also wants credit score reform. Now, this is code for taking people with lower scores, reshuffling that deck, and spitting out higher credit scores with the exact same information. Now, if this sounds like magic, it is. It's an illusion intended to trick you. Now, the reason for credit score reform is to bring homeownership to more people. See, last time we did this, and we did, we just funded the deals with lower credit scores and we called them all subprime deals. Bernie wants to raise those scores, fund the deals, and call this whole thing sound policy. The words change, the borrower's credit profiles will change, however, the borrowers are exactly the same and we know what happens here. This is what we call reform. He also wants to prevent predatory lending by seemingly strengthening the CFPB because, as Bernie says, incredibly, Republicans want to undermine the CFPB. So we can extrapolate he advocates for a stronger and more emboldened CFPB. Sorry guys, no matter your political persuasion, this form of reform will ultimately mean fewer lenders, longer escrows, and higher costs as we're seeing right now. And that no matter how you bake this cake. And finally, Bernie wants to reinvigorate HARP for underwater borrowers. This at a time when Fannie Mae just laid off over 500 employees because foreclosures have tailed down to the point where their services are no longer needed. Now, this is an idea that was good a couple of years ago, but this is to fix a problem that has by and large left the harbor. Hey, listen, make sure you check out Mortgage Shots again. Really great information. Frank had some stuff to do today, personal things, had something to do with a guitar, so I said I'll take the show over. He'll definitely be back tomorrow, so make sure you subscribe and forward this on to other people you know in real estate and lending because, well, that's how we keep the doors open. With that said, we appreciate it and make it a great day. Happy selling.